Hello from Hawaii. This is the Rise to Live podcast, episode 165. My husband broke his toe at the beach and blamed himself for all the plans that didn't happen. Is that crazy? But he's like so many other business owners, thinking it's all on them. Fortunately, his support team came to the rescue. Let's see how he got out of this mess.
Aloha to you all. Every so often, I create a different type of episode that is based on a personal event that has impacted my ability to be a business owner. And this time, it's that I broke my toe. Of course, I do realize that nothing unusual ever happens to folks running a business, so I might be the one exception. Yeah, right. If you actually believe that, I have a battery-powered bridge to sell you. In this episode, I'll talk about my mindset struggles and getting a small victory by accessing my support team after my well-thought-out plans exploded in flames when I broke my toe on the second day of vacation. Yes, it was really a working vacation, but yet it was still a vacation. Welcome to the Rise to Live podcast. My name is Scott Weaver, host and business coach, and this is episode number whatever. It's summertime. I'm supposed to be on vacation, and this is an unplanned episode that my friend said I should do. So please enjoy this special encore. This episode is being recorded on the tropical island of Maui, Hawaii, looking out from the porch of my in-laws' house to a coconut tree and a mountain view of the volcano Haleakala. For our European listeners, Hawaii is the 50th state of the United States of America, and it is located in the middle of the Pacific Ocean with a time zone of -11 GMT. Plus, it is three time zones west of the west coast of America. Yeah, it's pretty much on the other side of the world from Europe. My story begins with all things good. The 9.5-hour flight from Nashville was very boring, just the way I like it. No flight cancellations, no lost luggage, no fights over COVID masks, and even the airline staff was friendly. My in-laws were all excited about my wife and my kids being here and gave me a smile to me, their son-in-law. Things were looking good. My kids and I went on a nearby sandy beach to have some fun. I ran barefoot with my daughter along the waves as they gently spread over the sand. It was beautiful. It was great. Okay, I do have to admit, my daughter jogged with me while I ran to keep up. Still, I was training for a 5K race, and for a little short while, my denial of getting older seemed to be working. After the run, I was resting on a log on the top of a small sand dune overlooking the beautiful beach. I got up to walk down the sand dune, and the sand gave way, and in my stumble, I managed to kick a half-buried stick. That's when a sharp, very sharp, localized pain exploded from my toe. It was broken. Fortunately, not overly bad, but I was definitely out of action. And all me plans, well, they were out of action too. Let's say I was mad. The next few days were tough. Every footstep was painful, and all I wanted to do was sleep and eat. My Garmin watch was telling me that my resting heart rate was about 85 beats a minute. Plus, I was dealing with a family who didn't think it was seriously injured, at least until the visit to the doctor's office. Then the extent of the injury became very clear. I wish I could say that I handled all this like a champ, but I didn't. Negative thoughts attacked my mind like angry waves on the beach. Thoughts just popped into my head. How am I going to finish my goals? There was this big excitement to have some family time and working with my hands. I like to do that every once in a while, helping the in-laws with some house maintenance, and of course, reaching a few of my business goals. I had it all figured out. But now I was suffering from an emotional letdown that was worse than the physical pain. Quickly, I hit a low. I felt sidelined from life, and feelings of failure and anger ate at me. There were some obvious things that were relatively easy to handle, like don't set up a local seminar talk if you have to elevate your foot, or do stuff like climb a ladder. But there was other things, other feelings that, well, man, they were, to be honest, very mean and very unfair. Thoughts like, why me? Stuff like this happens to other people, but not me. And Scott, you're this big podcaster and coach, and you have failed here in Hawaii on the second day. You're a big disappointment and loser to your wife, your fans, and your clients because you wimped out over a broken toe. Man, those were hard. I was like, I would never be so judgmental with my clients, but why was I so hard on myself? The mental and spiritual game, the battle for your mind and attitude can be one ugly, smash mouth fight, one that you had better win. And in my case, I was losing. I hate to lose. So I reached out to my support team. You know, the type of support team for business owners that I've been encouraging you all listeners since the beginning of the Arise to Live podcast. Well, I have one, and I needed them quite badly. But to be honest, I was embarrassed to talk about it. I was embarrassed to talk to them. After all, I was admitting that I didn't have it all together and I needed some help. And then, looking back, pride was getting in the way. And this unreasonable self-judgment was also getting the best of me. After a few days, I finally talked to my wife. After all, we've been married over 20 years, and she usually knows what I'm thinking. Actually, the real reason is I knew that I couldn't hide this from her. So yeah, my headspace was not in a good spot. Anyway, she chastised me in her own unique, loving manner.
Seriously, Scott, this can be a blessing in disguise. We are at my parents' house, and they will take care of the cooking and the place. The kids are old enough to do the house maintenance stuff, and they need the experience anyway. There's 4 available drivers to take you wherever you want to go. So relax and enjoy Hawaii. Nobody is expecting you to do everything.
The phrase, nobody's expecting you to do everything, it got to me. Where did that self-expectation that I needed to carry the whole load all by myself, where did that come from? I think as business owners, we get so wrapped up in taking care of the business and our employees, so wrapped up about being responsible for the final results. And perhaps it's also a built-in personality trait that to take care of things, make sure things are going the right direction and the right way. But over time, I think us business owners, we have a tendency to start to believe that everything is all on us. And I struggle with that, and I admit it. And hopefully most of you don't have to worry about this, but I do suspect few of you out there know exactly what I am talking about. It's something about this. It's like to believe in ourselves that life as we know it is 100% dependent on our success. And we are going to do whatever we can. We're going to pull things up by our bootstrap and make it happen. That's just how the world works. Now, when I say that, it sounds pretty stupid, especially spoken out loud. We ain't God. But I know for sure I'm not the only business owner who's thought that, and I bet there are some listeners right now that are secretly have that thought too. I remember talking to Tommy Breedlove. He was a guest on this podcast, episode 46, if I remember correctly. He told me that we are our own worst judge. We judge ourselves way too severely and don't provide ourselves with enough grace. That got me thinking, maybe I should not be too hard on myself for breaking my toe as if I did it on purpose. Maybe I can just change those nasty questions running through my mind, demanding answers to where there is no answers. Like, why? Why did this happen? Or how was I going to recover my plans? Just maybe there's better questions to ask. Questions maybe like, what does this make possible? What does a broken toe make possible? My headspace was still off, so I called another support team member and longtime friend, D. Scott Smith. You longtime listeners will recognize him as he's been on this podcast many times. He said,
"Hey, Scott, stories are good. Tell your story."
"What story?"
"The story about breaking your toe."
"Really?" I don't think my listeners want to hear about my misery and ailments.
Isn't the Rise to Live podcast about real life? Seriously, Scott, you can do this.
I was like, great, you got me there. I didn't want to do an episode recording on my toe or on my supposedly vacation, but I did give it some thought. And obviously, I gave it a lot of thought because I'm actually doing it. You know, maybe my broken toe incident can help some of you business owners out there and your families, get through things that unexpected setbacks that came out of nowhere. Just maybe my story can help you, and I really do hope it does. Also in my support group, I am a member of a business mastermind, and they helped out in a big way. Yes, this business coach is part of a mastermind to continually become better at what I do and to be better a person. I mean, that's part of growing. On a Zoom call, they reminded me that I had this intention and I was writing a business book, a book for business owners creating their own vision. And then they proceeded to arm twist me to get a commitment to deliver a full manuscript in a week, which I did. And it was a royal pain to get it done, but I got it done. Looking back, I can now see what I couldn't see before. After breaking my toe, I just had a bad attitude, frustrated that my plans failed, and feeling like a failure, and just generally negative about everything. I needed other people to get me out of this emotional ditch I had fallen into. After talking with my support team, my attitude, to be honest, was still not the best. But something had changed in my thinking. I was starting to think about family time by driving around the island. And I was thinking about how to do an emergency podcast episode and finishing up my book. These became my new goals that replaced my unattainable previous goals. My support team came through for me, and I didn't even know it at the time. Just say now that I'm very appreciative. Wrapping up here, I'll provide a list because, well, that's me. And list is a way to remember key points. And I don't know how we can have an Arise to Live episode without a list, right? Hopefully, this is a list that you can take into the future, just in case you break your toe or something else blows up your plans. You can go toe to toe and win the mental game by first intentionally choose to win the battle for your attitude. You are not so stuck that you can't change your attitude, but sometimes it is a smash mouth battle for your mind. Intentionally choose not to continue with the negative thoughts. Negative thoughts are like birds. You can't stop them flying over you, but you can stop them from building a nest in your hair. The second one is reach out to your support group. They can see beyond the negative situation that dominate your thoughts and your vision. Set aside your pride and trust them to guide you through the dark times, and actually trust them to do what they say to do. You'll be much better off than doing the things on your own with limited sight and in a negative disposition. Of course, this reaching out to your support group assumes that you already have a close support group, one that you can trust. If you don't have one already, make it a priority, make it a goal to create one this week and start sharing and building trust with them. And then when the tough times come, ask, what does this make possible? The third one is set new goals by letting go of the previous goals and expectations, especially the expectations. When there's a new reality that you just landed in, it usually means that you need to let go of the past plans. Maybe in my case, it was lowering expectations and goals. But I was dealing with a broken toe, and in the process of my support team helping me set new goals, I managed to finish this podcast episode and a book and manuscript. That's something good, something that I did not plan to do. The fourth on the list, move, just get moving, do things even if you don't feel like it. You will thank your future self for taking action, no matter how small the action is. And finally, words from my wife, enjoy the benefits of the new reality. Right now, I am outside on the porch looking at tropical trees and a really pretty blue sky. I would not be here if I did not take my friend's advice and record this episode. Sooner or later, you will get hit over the head with a wooden bat or a broken toe. That's just part of living. When that happens, intentionally choose to win the attitude battle by putting positive things into your mind and reaching out to your support team, because that is how you arise to live.